Hello, America. Today I'd like to talk more in depth about the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. There are a lot of things to talk about regarding Afghanistan, but in this video I want to focus mostly on military history. We already know that no army in the history of the world has ever had a seamless withdrawal from a foreign country after a military defeat, or has been able to achieve this without a great deal of collateral damage. The former Soviet Union occupied Afghanistan for 12 years and was even less effective than we were in securing and stabilizing this region. As such, they left in much the same manner that we are now. We suffered basically the same thing in South Vietnam in the 1970s, with many of our soldiers, God rest their souls, being left behind in prison camps upon our withdrawal from the region. So in my opinion, for us to now say that the Biden administration is completely mishandling this is almost ludicrous. I'm hearing arguments from the right-wingers that Trump would have handled this much better. I shudder to think where we would be now had Trump still been in power. I fear that he would have put us in the middle of another long war and that we would never get out of Afghanistan. Make no mistake, that could still happen under Biden depending on the Taliban's actions in the coming days ahead. I personally think that Biden was ill-prepared to take on this large and complex of an operation at this time, with so much of our focus on the recent COVID resurgence. I also don't believe he was ready for the Taliban's blitzkrieg-style retaking of the country. Let's not forget that all of this got dumped in his lap, just like COVID did. I honestly think he's trying to do the best job he can with what he has to work with. From the news I'm getting today, they even seem to be kicking ass evacuating Afghanistan. Reports say they're getting over 16,000 people out of there every day. Every 45 minutes there's a military C-17 leaving Kabul around the clock. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not a Biden fan by any means, but he was the only sane choice in 2020. I'm not going to go into this in this video, but honestly, wouldn't it have made more sense for Trump to pull our troops out when he surrendered to the Taliban in the first place? I'd like to read you a quote from an article released on August 17th by factcheck.org. And I quote, "The Trump administration in February 2020 negotiated a withdrawal agreement with the Taliban that excluded the Afghan government, freed 5,000 imprisoned Taliban soldiers, and set a date of May 1st, 2021 for the final withdrawal of U.S. troops. The Trump administration kept to the pact, reducing troops from 13,000 to 2,500, even though the Taliban continued to attack Afghan government forces and welcomed al-Qaeda terrorists into the Taliban leadership. Biden managed to delay the May 1st withdrawal date that he inherited, but ultimately his administration pushed ahead with the plan to withdraw by August 31st. Despite obvious signs that the Taliban wasn't complying with the agreement and had clearly stated their goal to create an Islamic government in Afghanistan after the U.S. left, even if it meant having to continue waging war. I'll leave you a link in the description below to the full article from factcheck.org if you'd like to read further into it. I honestly fear for the safety of any evacuees, Afghan or American, that aren't out of there by Tuesday. And unfortunately, we all know that's going to be a substantial number of people. Well, that's all we can fit into this segment today, folks. If you liked our content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm Brian Schultz, and I'll see you next time here on Politibox.